choices. I just get
Говорит выбор, куда идти.
Не-не-не.
We are going to continue where we left off in the last episode, from Stalin's defensive sector around Kiev. And it is fascinating to see the different constructions of these bunkers and their underground tunnels. The majority of the construction took place between 1929 and 1930, with a rush to catch up just around 1941. However, many of the structures were not built as had been planned, or some sections were missing at the time the German army reached Kiev. The aim was to have 2 main bunkers per 1 kilometer of frontier. However, that was not quite reached. It was closer to 1.3 on average. The main strategy for the bunkers was flanking fire, very similar to the French forts of both World War I and World War II. This made it possible for the Germans, however, to take many of the bunkers under direct fire, which was not helped by the majority of the bunkers only being equipped with heavy machine guns, and there were too few anti-tank guns or heavy artillery. The large Type B bunkers were 2-story bunkers, floors connected by a steel-rung ladder, armed with 2 or 3 machine guns. There were periscopes in all of them, sanitary facilities, and a radio room for the commander. Most had overpressure and ventilation against combat gases, and were covered by a heavy steel door with close protection. And some had an encased entrance passage leading from the bunker into the trenches running between the bunkers or to the rear area. An anti-spalling wall coating, either nets or steel plates, were placed on the inside, as well as most had their own ground well included. Many of them were disguised as farmhouses or barns, and the terrain was used well for positioning. It was intended that many of the bunkers should have been fitted with a large steel plate on the front embrasure, but here actually only one were. These were standard designs, but the fortified area and bunkers were constructed by local labor and military units and engineers, so there can be a wide difference from what should have been and what actually is. That is what makes it so interesting to explore. That also means that the quality varies, but in many places the concrete was very good, and some of the bunkers would eventually be refitted for the Cold War, and many more for the current war in the Ukraine today. In the Kiev area, there are many large underground tunnel systems or fire groups. These would be connected with several firing points or combat bunkers. These tunnels would make it possible for connected fighting positions to store far more munitions and foods and have a relatively small frontal signature. The tunnels were not reinforced themselves, but were deep enough that they were unlikely to be damaged by artillery or bombing. The tunnels were on average 7 meters deep and coated on the outside with water-repellent material, and today they remain quite dry. There are also generators and extra storage in the various dead ends, as you will see, including a dead end for garbage collection. Also, these bunkers and tunnels could hold part of a garrison during shelling, for which they could then be deployed in a pre-planned counterattack, according to Soviet doctrine. The defenses were planned in depth, and the second-line bunkers were more dispersed, and almost all in forested areas with little or no connection between them. Also placed in difficult terrain areas such as swamps or steep slopes. This also led to some rather strange constructions at times, with extensive undergrounds, yet only a few actual fighting positions. As always, I'm joined by my 2 Ukrainian military historians and fellow soldiers, Andrew and Andrew, and of course our much-needed translator, Dacia.
Of a real
And before we get to the complicated, elaborate bunkers, let's start with a quick tour of a basic Stalin Line pillbox.
But these are far more impressive than what I thought they were. And this, I'll show you from the inside. You'll see what this is. I got a couple of friends from the Ukrainian army here with me. interpreter, but I'm just going to walk you through this so you can just see the very basics of what this is. Close defensive firing, of course, firing port, and there's a wooden door here. You see wood here in the sides. Close defensive, straightforward. Now, somebody throws a grenade in here. This was simply to deflect from the blast, which is brilliant. You don't see that in the German bunkers. Of course, heavy steel roof. They built these, thousands of these, and they had years to do it. Then you have the next heavy steel door, which is missing, and I'll give it to you. It's okay, because inside, now you really get an idea. Now remember, there's a lot of these little pillboxes in this little forest, and which incidentally is right on the line where the Russians attacked last year, which makes it really interesting, because the Ukrainians fought out of these old bunkers too. Here, machine gun, Maxim. There was a shutter that would be closed. This is for the ammunition, and then they're all clad with steel plate for shrapnel. And here's another machine gun embrasure. And again, here's a third. And you had use of shrapnel. The Germans, after taking this in 1941, they set a charge inside, but they didn't close the shutters. And because they didn't close the shutters, the roof lifted a little bit around the fighting positions, then the blast deflected out, and this is actually in pretty damn good condition. See, even the wood here under the Maxim, that would be part of the table that would hold the machine gun still here. Then the ammunition would have this little shelf here, and then there would be a mechanical ventilation for the muzzle exhaust here, which is really advanced, I would say. And you have, again, the close defensive position here. That was a hatch that would enclosed. Now what gets really cool, again, do remember this is a very small pillbox in the middle of a forest, and there's thousands of these. This thing had telephone. All of them had telephone. Commander would be sitting here, and he would have a periscope, little controls to control the periscope, and he would also have a radio. And not only that, here was a ground well for water also. Telephone, radio, ground well in such a small pillbox. Stalin Line bunkers are no joke. They are really not. This is really, really interesting. And you notice the heavy duty rebar. This is as much rebar as the Germans had in the Regelbauten. And this was built in 1932. And there's a lot of these, and they get bigger, and there get to be tunnels. Just saying, Stalin Line is a real contender. Well, considering they were keeping people safe just last year, as they're still fighting out of it, that should give you some idea exactly of how safe this is, and how sturdy it is. You come out here to the trenches that ran between them, which was a real thing, and you find a bit of debris. And the very interesting thing is, and I'll show you that, as the Ukrainians were using these preparing for the attack last year, they dug up old Russian trenches from 1941 and found a bunch of artifacts from the war. You can't wait to hear more about this now, can you? I can't.
And now, let's take a look at the fortified region of Kiev.
Here are the Stalin Line Russian steel domes. And obviously very different from both the French and the German, and I can't wait to explore this. This is just, well, we know what we're looking at. This thing got shot at. This is an interesting. So yeah, took some hits. It's a heavy, several part steel dome. And I'm seeing a serious problem with this bunker. That may mean that we're not getting into it. And none of it was like that. But I didn't bring dive gear.
many angry words. Did you bring diving equipment for me?
Привези, говорит, оборудование для дайвинга.
А, там вода, да.
Ага.
Нормально. Не, так. Это на выживание, морские котики.
To survive the marine.
See what I mean?
Чуешь, Лена написала, ведь бывал, приходил. А как же тут это?
Something I've never seen before, and then you flood it. Call the fire department.
Да, звоните, пожалуйста.
Скажи, мы хотели еще соседний бункер завести, подземный, на 5 головков.
Но надо...
Но он затоплен.
They wanted to take you to another bunker which had 5 firing points, but it's completely flooded, so we cannot go in.
As opposed to this one?
Говорит, еще больше, чем этот.
Он сам по себе большой, и там вот так
So,
тоже.
says it's bigger and it's flooded up to your neck.
So we have more flooded or most flooded. Oh, gee. Is there a third option without water?
На этой стороне видны следы попадания штурмгешутца.
You see the signs from Sturmgeschütz
Yes.
on that side.
All right.
Вот.
So what is this?
Что это такое?
What was in it?
Что было в нем?
Это бронебашня, бронеколпак для наблюдения за полем боя.
This is to look around the battlefield.
So this was purely observation.
Только
Observation.
для- только для
Observation.
этого?
Только observation.
Only observation.
Точно.
Any periscope?
Найн, как говорится, эти... Пым-пым-пым.
One person, two people?
Сколько людей?
Здесь это вот ван,
One.
артиллерийское назначение, артиллерист, observation, и пехота, infantry.
Infantry there.
So that's for artillery, and the other one is for... Okay.
So this was put together right at this place. It was constructed before World War One.
И был, да, и он стоял на вооружении русских крепостей.
And he was there with the Russian fortresses.
Мгм. Что еще? Да, он этот был действительно покрашен зеленой
It
краской,
was painted green.
а сверху у тебя там нету, Андрюха, маскировки? У меня этот, а сверху из проволоки делали каркас, клетку,
And there was like a cage on top.
With the camouflage.
камуфляж, да.
You could see through 5 kilometers to the left.
Вот. И километров сколько? И километров, наверное, 7
and
в этот.
5 kilometers that way.
Да. То есть очень большой сектор обзора.
So it was very easy to observe.
So this was all sections. The ring is a section. The front is a section. The side is a section.
Да. Вот был сделан отдельными секциями, потому что очень тяжелое. И собирали его на месте.
Вот, монтажные болты вкручивались, потом сбивались.
Yeah, for the lifting screws. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for the mount. Yeah, mounting. You put a little.
Такая дуга.
Yeah, you
Крепление,
put a
и потом-
hook in and a hook in, and then lift it. Yeah.
Да, краном вот
So
крепилось тут.
what was?
Вообще-то это для дальномера.
Rangefinder. Oh. Okay.
Да. И этот, но здесь это не использовалось.
But it wasn't used here.
Вот. Здесь достаточно было, как говорится, тут, ну,
Обычный.
So where was the
визуально.
artillery? It was.
Плюс ко всему, что здесь хорошо видны следы, как их сбивали. То есть были вкручены заглушки.
Да,
Потом
что?
вот
Где была артиллерия?
Везде.
It was
Здесь,
everywhere.
тут здесь, то есть тут, как говорится, насыщенность, то есть количество артиллерии большое.
There was a lot of it here.
Radio or telephone communication to it?
Радио или телефон?
Ну, только линия, провод.
Line.
Лайн.
So it's from telephone.
Да.
Телефонная линия.
Телефонная.
Yes,
Телефонная. В 41 году Red Army очень боялись радио.
Was very scared of radios.
Очень боялись.
But the Stalin Line bunkers had radios,
Ну,
didn't they?
в бункерах линии Сталина есть радио.
Радиостанции есть.
предусматривались.
Да,
They were
но
planned, but
да,
they were
но они
never there.
ими боялись
They were
пользоваться.
afraid to use them.
Не.
Just like the French.
Так как французы говорят.
Да. Так вот одинаково. Почему боялись?
Why
Пот-
were they afraid
Э,
to use radio?
Потому что думали, что немцы могут подключиться
They
и
thought that
передать,
the Germans could connect
и передать сигнал, который
and,
неправильный.
ruin
С
the
фран-
signal.
Общность с французами. Французы сбивали таблички на своих населенных пунктах. То же самое делали делали и на территории Советского
He says
Союза.
that there is one common thing about the
И то же
French
самое делали мы.
Вот.
and the Russians and the Ukrainians, that they took down the names of the villages and the cities.
Вот. И что самое интересное, вот во Франции мой товарищ исследователь Второй мировой войны Мартин Богарт вот сказал, что французы очень часто путались, потому что таблички были во французском тылу сбиты.
And says that because they did it, they took down those name tags of the villages. They got lost all the time in France.
Но мы, как говорится, то же самое повторилось в 22
We
году.
did the same thing in 1922. What happened here this year, this war?
Сейчас.
The Russians used a map of 1992.
Мы эти,
Maps.
да,
Old
мы эти
maps.
карты видели,
We saw these maps.
мы эти карты видели бумажные.
Actually, sort
И
of
у меня
paper maps.
вопрос. Мы живем на одном пространстве. Google Map у всех
He
есть.
says everybody has access to Google Maps.
Но почему простые русские историки, с которыми мы общались, ими пользуются?
And ordinary Russian historians actually use Google Maps.
И у нас вопрос, почему русские
So
военными
why do
пользовались
Russian
бумажными
soldiers,
картами?
Why did they use maps? Paper
И
maps?
для них было удивление, что, как говорится, на карте лес, а там уже поселок.
And they were shocked that the map.
Самое простое, именно здесь так же и было. На русской карте вот этих всех домов, что возле нас, нет.
So they look at the map and they see the forest. They come in and they see the village and
Это-
the houses. And this exact thing happened here. They saw forest. On maps.
Вопрос. В украинской армии еще с 2014 года сами изобретатели придумали планшет, программы для артиллерийской стрельбы, для управления артиллерией.
Since 2014, we had specialists who invented maps and tablets to use to direct artillery.
И я хочу сказать, что и это не одна программа, таких программ очень много.
They invented many programs.
Когда
Maps.
американской стороне предоставили, они говорят, мы к этому шли десятилетиями.
When our specialists presented it to the Americans, they said that it took them a while longer to do such thing.
Not a surprise. So was there fighting here in 1922 as well?
В 1922 здесь точно так же были бои?
Нет.
No.
А вот,
So-
вот как раз мы находимся возле самой главной дороги, которую хотели русские перерезать, но они сюда не дошли.
В каком году?
В 22-м.
Ага. We're standing by a very big road which Russians tried to cut off, but couldn't.
When? 1922 or last year?
1922.
Да,
Okay,
That's
that's-
right.
и
Yeah.
здесь мосты не были
No
подорваны.
bridges were blown out here.
Okay. So back to 1941, how did it go? Did these guys, did anybody get killed inside this? Or did they hold the fire? What?
Организовано, но вокруг, как говорится, за этими домами шел большой бой.
В долине в этом.
But there
Вот.
was a big battle in the valley behind
Вот.
these houses.
Руководители, поэтому здесь боя не было.
You
Панский
see,
Паренко.
the commanders were here at this bunker, that's why there were no battles.
So is this frontal armor plate thicker than the back? Or is it just...
Да. Вот и сверху.
Верхушек?
Дело в том, что вот польский, я его не скажу.
Осторожно, нет.
Да.
He is not sure about World War
Ух ты,
I.
елки-палки,
Why-
это же надо... Нет проблем.
Извините меня, идиоты. Они же могли использовать такой бит.
Потом каждый дождь его-
Не каждый. Вот эти дожди ж были.
It doesn't absorb rain.
Looks like a similar tunnel system to what we've seen before, with the main entrance right next to an emergency exit, which is kind of strange in itself, that the emergency exit is right here.
At the time of the war, this system had several unfinished parts, and sadly it was constructed underneath a medieval fort on the hill above, and sadly this was destroyed in the fighting in 1941.
What you have the little tap that was put in there to hold, little tap that was put here to hold. Then you had the two sections, and then there was a flat roof section. And then here it's supported by cement on the side. And since this is the emergency exit, I am going to be that guy and take the nice one. Is there a plaque up there?
Что здесь проходила первая линия обороны в 41 году.
I would feel like, yeah, I would feel a bad person if I didn't film it though. There's actually a plaque that you can barely read.
This was the defense line of the heroic city Kiev.
So from the 10th century to World War II till today, we're fighting in exactly the same places. Oh, I always said about tactics in restaurants: location, location, location.
А место осталось тоже. Здесь какая-то. Да.
Close defense.
Кто-то здесь был.
Now, let's see. Steel doors. You can really see how the top was held.
Видно?
Balloons catcher.
Так, тут коробка, тут переправа. Нет, тут переправы. Потому что пока еще не дошли до того места, где... Понял. Нет, так она же иногда и тут бывала. О, тут кто-то ебался.
This looks different. You know what this looks like? The Cold War bunkers. The Russian Cold War bunkers.
Как говорит бункеры холодной войны.
With the little sections interspersed with doors. This looks typical Cold War.
Андрей, холодная война. Выглядит как бункеры того времени.
А это же после 45-го года.
Так в каком году?
А, что это?
Oh, I love it when I have choices. I just get
Говорит, выбор, куда идти.
Мы пойдем... сейчас пойдем... Не. Сейчас наоборот прямо, а там будем возвращаться. Да. Только главное, чтобы мы не забыли дорогу.
That is exactly what they did. They did exactly the same thing today as they did back then.
Вот это памп была.
Water pump?
Yeah, here.
Нет,
Here.
water pump.
Oh. So that's where the waters came from, but the...
Ее это сняли и установлен сейчас в музее.
It was taken off and taken to the
Так что
museum.
не пропало.
I
Да.
accept that.
Когда мы строили, расчищали, вот этот уровень, было все засыпано
It
грязью,
was all
песком.
covered with dirt here.
Это
Up to
все,
this level.
когда мы это восстанавливали, просто ведрами, лопатами выносили на улицу.
And shovels outside.
Wow.
Вот так вот. Ого,
So was that groundwater or was that the river?
там кто-то есть.
Андрей, он спрашивает, грязь намыла течением или просто?
Со временем, да.
Just ground.
Там я видел, пробежал гномик. Эй!
And dwarf.
Oh, but look here, the lighting fixtures are different here.
The lamp.
Здесь другие лампы, кстати.
They were
Хотел
different.
обратить внимание.
Здесь светодиодные стоят.
They were different lamps. That's different. So,
Да, там это, туда идем. Go. Тут аккуратно, потому что да, еще просто.
Открывай.
Андрей, идите.
сказать даже, когда в ходе тут чувствуешь. Ну, как пионерские, помнишь, сигнал? Вот, да.
защищались пионеры.
Да, вот
So did he have a plate to stand on?
Было что-то, на чем можно было стоять?
это был, должен быть, там нет, там лестница есть, там должен были сверху построить бункер.
They were supposed to build a bunker upstairs,
Но его не построили.
but it was never built.
So they actually just built a way for the Germans to get in quicker if they found it.
Говорит, то есть просто немцы могли быстрее попасть.
And they didn't even secure it.
Вход. Никакой защиты там нет.
Там сверху находились солдаты в окопах, поэтому хрен бы не
There
отсюда
were
брались.
soldiers all around the bunker, so nobody let the Germans do that.
Yeah. There's a plate there. Yeah, well, no, I want to go, Right. So that's what the observation was. Supposed to have been. Couldn't even start a little over there, could you?
Сюда проходи, а ему туда будет идти. Ты сюда проходи.
Что это?
Все. А ты ему туда направляй.
Tino, you go that way.
I won't say why, but we're in a bunker, so.
Есть? Отлично.
Young lady?
Yep.
I don't think you want
Да. Right.
to. Just be aware of the.
Okay.
Of you?
Thank you.
You help her out?
No, it's okay. I'll
Yeah, I
manage.
know.
Да, они тут стоят уже теплёно. Да, хватаемся, все правильно. Андрюха, видишь?
One type of lamp.
Самое трудное место, видишь, он проходил.
Да, я думал, что вот здесь может.
Was this a cable that ran through here?
Не-не-не, это для укрепления вот этого, это не кабель.
No,
это
it's,
просто...
it's just a wire to make it
Арматура.
stronger.
Не знаю, что такое.
But
Это почему вылазило?
Fortify the,
Там был взрыв,
the ceiling.
и оно...
so for the lamps, was there next there? No.
Он спрашивает, как тут лампы работали.
But where the camera?
Да,
There,
вот
then.
сюда и...
Yeah.
Да.
That's what I actually thought for a second they almost had recessed lamping. Recessed lighting? What over here? There's a steel door. He's had a very bad day here.
Да.
So,
Аутентик.
no shit. So we have the wood with steel over it. Do you think we can restore that?
Это можно его восстановить?
Скажи, она сохранилась только потому, что была засыпана землей.
He says it is still here because it was covered with dirt.
Well, now it's covered in rust. I don't know how
А
this.
теперь это ржавчине.
Да, ее только пропитать, чтобы она дальше не разрушалась, потому что на улице она рассыпется.
Yeah, I guess restoration may be a little too far gone.
He says if you take it outside, it will be completely destroyed.
I know.
Сейчас, секундочку. Нужно быть аккуратным, потому
Be
что
careful, he says.
наверху торчит проволока,
There
чтобы
are
не
wires
пораниться.
up, so be careful. about-
No worries.
Чтобы нет тут. Это тоже.
Да хорошо,
Потому что это, там есть некоторые вещи вообще так резко разворачиваются. Мы уже практически. Там
Oh,
крышка
so
закрыта.
really it's destroyed right here.
Yeah, там говорит,
Well, all right then.
да?
Там был вход в бункер.
It was the entrance to the bunker.
Uh-huh. So it is literally gone. That's why the hallway is cracked. Germans blew this up.
Немцы взорвали.
Да.
Yes.
Да,
Germans did.
Пока стоим, потому что сейчас же вопрос,
И ответ.
Да. И мы будем...
This is really, really cool. This is really, really an amazing place. Truly.
And first to the right.
I know.
Сейчас потому.
They still haven't figured out what kind of maniac they're doing yet.
Again, to the right. Ah, wait.
They still
Something ancient. Руки чьи-то,
Руки. Потому что здесь подземелье, и туда полчерки вот камень идет. Ну как раз мы туда и к нему и идем. Да. Да.
Засыпано?
Это там пещера. Да.
So, is this the emergency entrance?
Что это? Что это? Это запасной выход?
Нет, аккуратно головы. Значит, если повернем left,
If you turn left.
и мы окажемся в древней пещере, которая находится над этим бункером.
There is a detention.
Да. Left, и потом попадаешь и пролазь туда. Лезь, там большое.
He says you can go in there actually.
Yeah, I can see I can.
Прямо там нету, засыпано. А вот туда, и это там оно классно. Да.
Советуете полезть, да?
Ну,
Не,
да.
Well, there's not a whole lot in here, really. So they carried the cable all the way in here, but there's nothing here.
Ну, они ушли. Да, ну там большой промежуток.
I see the nice, there's layers. No fossils. Huh.
Один пришел пока пробовать на другой, и тут все сюда. И там получилось как бы помещение. Вот, назвал древний храм.
What's your head?
Видно, да?
Тина.
So how many people would be stationed in here?
Сколько здесь людей вмещалось?
50.
50.
50?
Yeah.
Yes.
Сейчас, ребята, мы вас доводим.
Нет, подождите, не уходите. They're leaving us.
Yeah.
Химическим дамбом.
Gonna stay where you have light?
Yeah.
So, this is what you have. Oh, so this is just that.
Мы здесь.
Хорошо. Паническая атака уже не на грани.
Да ты что?
Нет, я боюсь.
Просто сказать, что сколько раз здесь ходили, на некоторые обстоятельства обращаешь внимание. Поэтому как обладатель такого...
Некоторое время может продержаться голова. Молодец.
Видишь, опять там был. Там был.
So that's the emergency exit.
Excuse me?
So that's the emergency exit.
Давайте
Здесь
попробуем.
тоже запасной выход?
Да. И мы там раскопали сюда.
Что, серьезно?
Here you see
Останки, да?
what they
Да,
did.
скелет был.
They found a skeleton of a person here when they got out of the bunker.
Did he have a dog tag? Do you know who he was?
Была бирка.
Нет, к
No.
сожалению, у него ничего не было.
No, no documents, no documents.
Russian or American? Russian or German?
Russian.
During the challenge, and he was buried here.
Это
Oh, so they out here?
Out here, out here.
Oh, I thought they found him in the tunnels. And you find a Second World War position sitting on top of old trenches running here on top of the tunnel system.
посмотри, как хорошо видны вот след такой раз. Это как раз были здесь траншея. И этот. А вот здесь был пулемет стоял.
And you see the trenches and
Yeah.
the machine gun is there.
Вот. Она даже видно такая змейка.
Fighting directing there. Germans that way.
Немцы там, да, были?
Да, все правильно.
The observation that wasn't built here in the trenches that they were fighting out of. The new Ukrainian bunker up here. And we have the firing position down here. Somewhere. And here's the remains of what was a three-port firing position that has been significantly dismantled in all major components, from what I can see. Well, I guess I can't complain that I can't get in. Now that was the steel plate to the underground entrance. So I guess this time I can't complain that I can't get into this one. Because on the outside is a very, very open air floor space. Oh, they blew this up well.
Да. На цепи держали пулеметчика.
That's what's left. The firing position right here.
Это известные сказки. Это провода. Хорошо, зеленый,
A map for the machine gun. Map for the machine gun here.
Датские, Дании, Чехия, Норвегия, Финляндия, такие же сказки.
Here's the ceiling. It doesn't.
Пользовались по-боевому. То есть тонкое дерево,
This
которое
is exactly what they used at that time.
якобы там не дот, а деревянный дом.
So it seemed from outside like it's a wooden house.
So camouflaged
Да.
as a building.
Yeah.
Даже тут русские проводили эксперимент. То есть был построен деревянный дом на доте, внутри сидели солдаты, сверху подпалили и ждали, ждали сколько времени прогорает, так можно ли вести потом из дота огонь.
Russians made the experiment. They actually built this wooden fence and it seemed like it was a house. They, inside the bunker there were soldiers. They set the wood on fire and then they waited for how long it would take to burn down and if the soldiers can still fight.
That's.
Он быстро прогорел, и солдатам ничего не было, и он мог вести огонь.
It burned down, but the soldiers were fine.
This is the monument they made from the shells they found when they dug out the road behind me. Shells, casings. And then they made
Коммунистических этих celebrating.
I see one, I see two firing ports. I see lots of flowers, which is traditionally around here. And you put flowers in places where people fought and died as a sign of respect. Lo and behold, I can actually get in. And from what I can see, this was refurbished in 1952 for, the next war. The original. No, not the original door. the blast deflection, I still truly enjoy that this acid.
Поэтому еще раз прямо это, да, я понял.
немножко прикрыто.
Поэтому еще раз говорю, что, понимаешь, то, что она за 50 метров 1,5 миллиметра скопился.
Somebody's been living in here. That's nothing new. So,
Подушка и одеяло.
Вот смотри. Имеется в виду, что
this intent is different. All right, what was this for? Because this is not, this is a different mount for the gun.
Другое крепление для ружья.
это другой станок.
Yes, it's a different gun. А что?
Я покажу.
He'll
Имеется
show
в
you.
виду. Это
He'll
другой
show you.
станок. Здесь железная такая. Steel.
Okay, the whole, okay. And this was for...
А нижний?
Yeah.
Just a mountain.
Yeah.
Это выхлоп. Вот это, кстати, выхлоп. То есть, что...
Следы штурма, подрывов. Здесь вот подрывали.
С этой стороны оттуда большая часть выхлопа.
So, okay, there's another feature. See, So is this a well
Вот
in your
здесь,
next
вот здесь был
Yes, there is a well.
And the water is gravity based?
командир.
Oh, okay.
Да.
So the water to and from the gun is gravity based?
Gravity based. Я не знаю, что это значит. Основана на гравитации, как это. Вода, подача воды.
Or is
Нет.
there a pump? There's a
А,
pump.
или помпа.
Вассер.
Oh, right, the manual pump, that's right, that's right.
Вручную, да, качала?
Ну, по количеству пулеметов. Вот, нестандартная. А вот где вода. Сейчас.
Это не вещи.
See, I see the problem. See the problem being flooded and full of stuff, and the rooms have rusted away.
Для подъема груза
To bring up cargo.
How much underground was there?
How much what?
What's this? Is this a room downstairs, or is there more?
Что там снизу? Что?
помещение для отдыха личного
It was
состава.
a room for rest.
Okay, so like we saw before.
А, это water pump?
А я выйду, а ты покажешь.
Он же снимает. Давайте,
Was you
говорите.
gonna say something?
Yes, yes.
DAS это следы штурма.
You see the attack, the tracks of attack?
Yeah.
Штурмовая группа положила сюда взрыв,
There was
взрывной заряд
explosive here.
и попыталась подорвать двери.
They tried to blow up the doors.
Well, it looks like they succeeded.
Им это удалось, похоже. Ага. Не мешать.
Pipe for the gun. For the seat for the gunner. For the munition. That water cooling system is just really fascinating because it's mechanical. It just seems so elaborate for a small bunker to have a mechanical, hand-cranked water cooling system for their gun. That's what the periscope was. It seems like something that is too elaborate for something like this. Here's most defensive. Here. first, the second, two more next to us. Again, the wall hangers for the cooling. Slightly smaller indent for the munitions, it must be something else. But it doesn't look like it took any damage in here from when the Germans tossed in a bank door and tried to blow up the door. I mean, they did blow up the door. But even if this was locked and closed to both sides, there would still be a concussion in here. You can see this is for one of those times when
Tino.
this actually made a...
Wasser.
Вода? Water?
Not anymore.
Говорит, уже ее там нет.
So the water pump place is now the driest in this
Я
bunker.
пампа нет.
That's interesting.
Смотри, дальше. Вот сюда выбрасывался газы от стреляющих пулеметов.
This is where the gas came out from the shooting.
For the ventilation from the gun.
Yeah.
And then
А вот здесь осуществлялся забор свежего воздуха.
Here's where the air would come in.
Сделано чисто.
all the way in.
Yes. Сделано чисто по-русски.
It was made by Russians in the Russian tactic.
Das срут, das дышут.
He says, here they shit, here they breathe in.
Но они же думали, что там
Yeah,
в воду будет
well,
уходить.
oh, yeah, okay. So this wooden pipe wasn't piped that would go all the way in?
Отсюда что, труба шла?
Не-не-не,
Она внизу.
она внизу, вот так.
It's down there.
Пол
Down there.
и туда.
Okay, all right, well, yeah, now I see what you mean.
Видишь, угол наклона вот такой сюда идет.
Yeah.
Если обернешься назад, увидишь, что сзади земляной холм.
If you look around, you will see.
Куда он собирался стрелять?
You will see a hill behind you. Where was he supposed to shoot?
Так вот, это предназначалось.
I mean...
Это предназначалось для того, чтобы если сюда пробрался враг, можно было просто опустить ручную гранату, бросить, и граната скатится, даст сиденье, стульчик, откидная.
There's a seat?
Yeah.
Сид, откидная сидушка часового. One, two.
Let's just dissect this thing here for a minute as we come in here through the door. This tube here would ventilate the fumes from firing, and this is the fresh air intake that will, well, mix in the same room. That's nice and cleverly thought out. Steel door panels, close defense. To the back of the hill. So people still put flowers and light candles here,
May 9th. I already asked them. Yeah.
despite the fact that this was Russian soldiers? It was also Ukrainian, right?
Come in and fight.
So this was Ukrainian.
Да, да,
Yeah.
да.
You have a road circling the bunker. We're in a little turn here, so that's why you have defense in almost every direction.
Находилась на таком жутко
Дают местные озеро. И поэтому на казахской воде. Мы встретили бы кучу бункеров.
If you walk that way, we would see a lot of bunkers.
This is where the bridge used to be. That needed the protection from all the bunkers here.
Сейчас посмотрим.
что такое дело. Значит, чтобы было понятно, может?
This is just a wing, and these are blocked up. And from what I can tell, when Struckmann was locked, it might be closed. Ooh, this looks a lot bigger than I thought. Wow, I really want to get into this thing. This is another wing.
Тут правильно, вот это как раз и есть та крышка,
This is the cap.
куда ложили гранату.
They would put the grenade.
Она очень массивная.
It's massive.
И вот эта вот крышка, напротив.
So here's the other wing. This is a protective wing. And underneath here, you had cannon emplacements. And the entrance. I couldn't help but notice that he has stopped trying to open the door. Why is this?
Мы туда дальше не пройдем, там маленький двор. И она за тут.
Все закрыто?
Да.
It is all closed.
So is this original? No, that's not original color. What is the original color?
Какой цвет оригинальный?
Примерно такой.
Pretty much like this, he says.
Really?
Здесь и на той стороне, да. Проводили специальное исследование, были большие споры. Вот, и
They
в конце
painted wood
концов-
logs. So it looks like the end of
Не,
wood.
оно уже зеленью покрылось. то
Я
есть
вам
это
говорю,
уже-
что были как будто какие-то бревна тут разрисованные, как бревна.
Да,
Yes.
да.
It's camouflaged like wooden. Okay. And as we will notice that the ventilation tubes of the bunker is facing front from the fighting compartment. That might be a little bit of a design issue. But there are some very strange little design issues with some of these. Camouflage netting with steel.
This is for artillery projectiles.
Погрузки артиллерийских снарядов.
So this is where you would load in their munition for the artillery guns.
That's when they fortified the bunker.
After the war. This case may have had some strange days. It's quite a bit crooked. Way in here. I hear an officer who's fighting a battle here. This is where you
Продух шире. Ну вот это проход.
This entrance is wide.
Барунцы.
Yeah, you see there were people who stayed here when this war started.
Поэтому сейчас
It's open and dry.
It's open and dry. I never hear words like that.
How would you say it? No water inside.
I mean, look at this pretty thing. Normal. That's not unusual for me. Nice big bolts. Square. This is not really a tunnel system. This is more just back to the bunker. All right. I think we found the commander's seat.
и тут тоже поэтому будет.
It's very elaborate. This really is very elaborate. Although something seems to have happened to it. Something's to be... So what happened to this thing?
Не, так мы не мешаем.
Нет, что случилось? Что он спрашивает, что случилось?
Его обстреливали.
It was shot.
Yeah, I see there's little bits and pieces missing and dented and...
Да, я вижу, что какие-то элементы отсутствуют.
Его обстреливали, и и его штурмовали сверху.
It was shattered and it was taken by storm from above.
From above.
Вот так он очень чистый, я хочу сказать, очень чистый.
It's a very clean blanket.
Yes, I mean. This actually.
Машинка.
Okay, oh, that's what that is.
Ленту заряжать.
For the reload munition. Munition table.
Да,
Yeah,
очень
yeah.
видно, хорошо ты попадание снаряда.
It looks more damaged inside than it does.
Говорит, что
Outside.
внутри как будто больше разрушений, чем снаружи.
Да? Радио, ой, телефонная связь и электрик лайн.
Electricity line.
And commander office.
Офис коммуникации.
Да.
Oh, here it is.
Да, перископ.
There's the
И вокруг
periscope.
следы взрыва.
And you see the damage around it, the tracks of explosion.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of cement taken out of the wall here.
Ну, что со стен, да, порушилось.
Да, вот это стены. Мы сверху будем видеть очень яркие следы, как это делали
We
гранатами.
will see it nicely from above. How they
I believe you.
made.
So all these pipes coming through here, this was communication?
Что это за трубы, которые проходят?
Сейчас.
These pipes here?
Это эти. Тут где-то радиостанция была.
There was a
These
radio
three?
station somewhere here.
Oh, so this is all radio cabling.
Это все радио?
Нет. Не все.
Not every.
Сюда тут, я так понял, что были еще провода телефона. Все правильно, здесь это вот была радиостанция, телефон, поэтому проходили провода электрические, телефон.
Electrical and telephone wires up to there.
А вот как раз вот.
And ventilation.
Ventilation. И вот это вот следы,
Yeah.
потому что вот сюда.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how the mesh has actually held on to it. So the steel plating was only in the fighting compartments.
Там, где наиболее опасных местах ставились металл, на остальных внутри ставилась сетка.
Yes, there were metal plates only in the most dangerous areas.
I can see the paint in Russian bunker systems was just as cheerful in 1941 as it was in 1965. Such happy
Потому что он
Вписан в, опять же, осторожно голову, вписан в старинный змеевой вал.
Некоторые валы плоти перемешивают железную дорогу.
Mortar reservoir. So, take a look at this. Into the fighting compartment, clad in steel, metal. All of it. But there's some damage to this. There's a few things missing, and there's some dents. Nicely destroyed, but there's a little bit of damage in this. Just a little, just to indicate that something happened. Something went horribly wrong inside for the people here. This was taken in a frontal assault by the German soldiers when they took it. It's very, very elaborate build. They built these very elaborate. Even the steel door took some damage here.
Не-не-не. Как хороший день.
Ложитесь спать, так не быть такого.
Ага, сейчас. Вот. Там, хорошо, что мы приехали. Там крышка, помнишь?
You remember the cap?
German Pioneers. Гранат. Бах. Потом гранату немножко вставляем. Несколько гранат. Бах-бах. Мы видели на стене. Другие заливают бензин. газ.
Fuel.
Oil, да? Fuel. Вот. Заливают.
Yeah.
Пиум.
And that's, yeah. So did they block the firing ports, so they just make it onto the top, and there's no bunkers around here who could support them. They're not mutually supporting.
Рядом нет бункеров, которые могли бы
А.
помочь.
Значит, помощники сидели в траншеях.
The helpers were all in the trenches,
Но при первых выстрелах помощники нафиг убежали.
but then they leave.
Вот. И поэтому немцы спокойно могли обойти огонь пулеметов
So the Germans could easily make it to the firing point,
и зайти сюда.
and they could easily come here.
Yeah, if you can get around the flanks, then you just filter in between and blow the thing up. That's so river as well.
Вода, река,
Не-не-не-не.
river.
Не-не-не.
Valley.
Тут это
Долина?
ровная долина,
Yes,
да,
this is
да.
valley.
Он как бы во второй линии здесь
This is
находится.
the second line of defense.
Вот как бы.
Okay.
The bunker was always in the middle of the defense, and it was surrounded by кто?
Пехота, да.
By infantry,
Пулеметы,
machine
пушки
guns, light guns,
и минометы.
cannons and mortars.
Вот. Это было вот именно задумка этого укрепления.
This is how they planned this exact bunker.
So they deliberately built around trenches.
То есть траншеи были специально прорыты вокруг него.
Да, и это было изначально.
It was from the beginning.
Вот, потому что бедное советское государство строило, только на территории Украины было 16 укрепрайонов.
Ага. 16 fortified areas were где?
На территории Украины.
Were in Ukraine.
Вот.
This is how they did
А
it.
по всему Советскому Союзу, по западной границе, вообще это бетон, это железо, это нужно их вооружить. Поэтому
Так что, их там не было?
нет. Ну что, очень много, и поэтому не строили вот так вот, не сильно тесно.
Because it took so much metal, so much money, and so much force, that's why they were not built so close together.
Да.
But so much
А
apart.
перекрыть территорию Запада нужно было огромную, очень длинную, 2000 километров.
So this was not a line from the Baltics to
Да,
the
да,
Black
да.
Sea. It was a line, or it was a line of fortified areas.
Это линия, да, укрепрайон.
Да, от Балтийского до Черного моря. Да. Не от Балтийского, а берите от этого. То есть они строили даже эту, то есть от Финляндии, то есть дальше еще.
Finland, actually.
All the way from Finland.
Да.
So was this longer than the Molotov line?
Длиннее, чем линия Молотова.
Да, потому что линия Молотова, она меньше,
Because it's smaller.
вот, она немного меньше.
It's a little smaller.
This one, the Molotov.
Молотов line is smaller.
And that's pretty damn long to begin with.
Да, мы
А
еще...
она при этом, на самом деле, очень длинная, да, по факту?
Да. Вот, значит, Киевский укрепрайон, 85 километров по фронту,
Kiev fortified area is 85 kilometers long.
260 бетонных сооружений
260 concrete bunkers.
и 750 из дерева и земли.
And 750 made of wood and soil.
То есть, можно сказать, деревянных бункеров.
So you see that больше.
А?
Больше, да?
Ну, 260 и 750,
Wooden
конечно.
bunkers, there are much more many.
Yeah, of
bunkers.
course.
Успеешь, я понял.
There was a Panzerplatte here. Well, where did that come from?
Но она здесь не устанавливалась. Что?
Really?
Вот. Но она планировалась, но не была установлена.
Are you sure? If this was frontally attacked and there's no bullet wounds in this under where the plate would be, are you sure it wasn't installed?
Вы уверены, что его там не было?
А сейчас пока. А вот теперь смотри, как инженер-любитель. Посмотри.
Look at this.
Так. А вот,
Yeah, okay, they wouldn't stick out.
если
Yeah,
плита
yeah.
стояла, их бы не было.
Да, он
Логично?
уже сказал, да, что они были.
Why would they have been then? I mean, they installed all of this. Why didn't they cut these
Почему их не
at the
обрезали?
same damn time?
Почему? Нет, так ситуация такая. Если бы устанавливали, обрезали.
Ну да, он
А
уже-
строители, это на всякий случай было сделано. То есть планировалось, но не установили. Смотри, этот, слышишь, а как относится к зеленому? Потому что Андрей ломает мужчину, а потом зеленую слышит.
I am impressed with this.
Поэтому это все нормально. Смотри, вот это, видишь, себе, это все наша работа.
But you don't really see much damage out here.
Это все наше это. Но нужен все, надо с бусом и так далее, еще с припеком. Видишь, что здесь?
There's no damage outside it.
Говорит, что и снаружи нет никаких следов.
There's almost none.
Залито.
Почему?
Залито.
А вот, бам, бам, бам.
Да, это залито.
It's just so, yeah. Yeah.
Следы как реставрейшн, как там. Вот так вот.
Yeah, because the stone underneath here was torn. But there's just... Of course, we don't know what the embrasure looked like. Or what the shutter looked like, I guess, the steel plate.
Да, да, есть такое. Ну,
It was a steel plate that was supposed to be here. That is so cool.
Покажем. Что это? Ага, с этой стороны это. Хоть английский. А куда ты идешь как его? Ну иди.
Down here in this valley that the attack came from. Now all these was connected, tied up with trenches and interconnected. But when the trenches emptied, then the bunkers up here sat unprotected from the flanks. And German engineers and soldiers made it onto the back of it, flew their way inside, poured gasoline, and burned whoever was inside out. See that by everybody in every war. But you need the infantry, just like you need infantry to protect a tank. You need the infantry to protect the bunker as well. I see more trenches in this forest. And this is interesting because honestly, I don't know if they were World War II or they were from 2022. It's really interesting to walk a battlefield that was new and old in exactly the same trenches. There was an artillery position up here, and then the bunkers. I think you can just sneak me right past this exploded weird... What the hell is this?
You want to go through?
Of course I do, I just want to know what it is. What was it? Alright, lift your arms because these things are a little stingy. Well, this looks very much like what I used to look at every day. Something shot at it,
This is the roof.
and then they blew it up.
Бункер, бункер двухэтажный, да, да.
It was a two-story bunker.
Yep.
Вот. И крышу вот так вот поставила.
Yeah, that's the roof. I see the steel plates in the roof.
Да, 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 вон, как говорится, элементы, которые говорят о том, что это крыша.
And then
Хорошо иметь дело ну как,
with the entrance.
знающим людьми.
So, what was this a bunker like the one we've seen, or is this something new that I haven't seen?
Вы же такое, говорит, не видели еще?
Machine gun position?
Это что здесь? Пулеметы стояли.
Да, 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 да.
Yes.
Это, как говорится, задняя часть.
This is the back of
Yeah.
the bunker.
Yeah, that's the entrance with the close defense.
Вот двери, door.
The entrance.
Yeah.
Вот. Ну, для закрывания элемент и вывод радиоантенны.
Radio antenna.
Это уже обстрелы после боев.
You see these bullet holes? This
Yes.
happened after the battles.
After the
Это-
battle.
Yeah.
Это было развлечение для всех тыловиков.
It was like a game for soldiers to come here and shoot the...
Русские, немецкие,
Russians did it,
американцы,
Germans
все
did it,
любят
Americans
бах-бах-бах.
came here and shoot.
Вот.
Yeah, he said.
So what happened to this thing? The Germans took it and blew it up?
Actually, he says when they left every bunker, they were supposed to blow it up. They did it with cannon patrons.
They did it with what?
Не все умели подрывать, поэтому...
But not every soldier could blow up the bunker. That's why so many are left.
What, they blew it up with a charge inside, or did they... Yeah, they did. They put a charge.
Конечно, изнутри.
They did it
Yeah. So this was what, 3 firing ports? Machine gun position?
А здесь, кажется,
Yes, free.
You see the periscope. Actually, all of these were supposed to have been blown up by the Red Army as they retreated from the Germans, but they didn't. Except this one, they did. And they did it quite well. Shame, because I haven't actually seen the 2-story one yet. And right next to me here is an artillery position from last year. That's funny how not only does history repeat itself, it repeats itself in the same place. Trenches that was running here. So this is part of the trenches that runs all the way down the hill. Yeah. From here the trenches run in front of the bunkers. Out here. Enemy direction that way. It's in better shape than the last one. The roof is still on.
есть, но это там аккуратно нужно пускать немножко. Мы его раскапывали.
So what do we got here? So did there used to be a ladder up here? So why was there?
Да. Был.
There was a.
Да. Потому что здесь...
They did. I appreciate that. I found a Molotov bunker that I couldn't find the entrance to except one of these shafts. I could not find the actual entrance. And here's a tire. Told you there's a tire.
Да, можно сказать, что это... Вот это все было
I know
засыпано
that's an
землей.
internal filter. There has to be a tire, otherwise it
10
can't be
лет
World War
назад мы
II.
это все раскопали.
They came here and died out 2 years ago.
Нашли даже этот поврежденный пулемет.
We even found a broken machine gun
Большое количество патронс.
and many patrons.
И мы их ломали, и порох
They broke it.
полили здесь.
Как будет порох?
А не знаю.
They broke down the book last year.
So, what's the for camouflage netting?
Да.
Его еще как-то укрепляли сверху.
Сверху он был засыпан землей.
No, it was just covered with earth and dirt.
No. This is tar. This is weatherproofing.
А ну смотрите, ну тут смола есть.
Смола гидроизоляция.
Hydroisolation. Yes.
Yeah, for against the wall. Yeah, weather. That's tar weatherproofing.
Это против осадков, да?
Да. Все равно Тина будет сюда идти. И покажем следы. Вот то, что, как говорится, взрыв сверху был.
See what they're made of.
Не, да. Когда он здесь будет уже? Так, вот.
They dug it out and they found a machine gun and a bunch of bullets. Was this bombed? Or was this part of the destructive blast? Or was this an impact?
Его бомбили или это от взрыва?
Нет, я так понимаю, что его обстреливали из миномета.
It was probably shot at from
Yeah, this
mortar.
kind of looks like it emanates from
Mortar.
Потому что и здесь тоже.
Because here you can find the same damage. Right there.
Такое впечатление, что это было как учебный
so the roof shifted.
He says it seems to me it was like a study object.
Oh, I mean the Germans did that. They tested everything on everything.
Да, что немцы так и делали.
Да.
Yeah.
Потому что уж очень много следов. Вот. И мы знаем, что русские его уходя подорвали 19 сентября 1941 года.
In September 1941, Russians blew it up.
In September. Yeah, the whole roof shifted that way. This hallway would have been covered, right?
То есть все вот тут было засыпано, да?
Да,
Yes,
он был засыпан вровень.
it was covered completely.
Was this 2 stories as well?
То есть здесь тоже было 2 этажа.
Не, один этаж. И на 2 пулемета, причем он спереди был засыпан землей.
2 fighting points.
И окно смотрело одно на там, где мы вчера были на мосту,
The window was that way,
а второе простреливало дорогу, по которой сюда
and
приехали.
the other one was pointing at the road.
Right here next to the destroyed bunker is another trench from last year. With a nice overview.
From last year.
Yeah, this is, yeah. Little dirt dugout. I gotta go. It's amazing how quickly the plants just reclaim everything. Yeah, this is pretty much just it. I mean, it won't stand direct hit, but, well, they even put a little plastic on for waterproofing. Creature comfort. And down here, you would see the fighting. And right on the other side of this hill is the supermarket that was destroyed.
Ставили на учет как убежище от ядерной войны с Америкой. Да, да.
In 1952, the Ministry of Defense of Soviet Union gave out a command to check and inspect all the bunkers and to prepare them for the nuclear war with the USA.
Oh.
В смысле лежит? Они поставили с нашей стороны.
Behind the authentic wall, there's a really good excuse for why we can't get in. Well, because it's still in use. Another machine gun bunker here and shelter, and as you can tell, it's still in use today. So it's locked off except for when it's needed, like it was last year. That looks authentic, 1952. And again, this too saw some gunfire from the Second World War. That was patched up. In the 50s, when they were planning to use these for the nuclear war with the West. You see some of the impacts here. But this one we'll leave alone because it's still sitting reserve for the current war. Metal.
Выходить. Вот это все следы попадания штурмгешутц.
These are the tracks damage from Sturmgeschütz.
Буквально сколько? 200-300 метров отсюда находился мост, по которому немцы должны были переправиться на этот берег.
There was a bridge about 200 meters away from here where Germans were supposed to cross the river.
Несколько таких бункеров не давали возможность переправиться пехоте.
So these bunkers did not let them do it.
This was the bridge defense.
Это была защита моста?
Да,
Yes, exactly.
да, да. Вот. Тогда подогнали штурмгешутц,
Then they brought in Sturmgeschütz.
вот, и который просто без сопротивления и ответки просто стрелял
And
по
they
этой
started
амбразуре.
shooting.
Вот так. Когда тут внутри было контужено 6 человек,
6 people suffered inside.
а всего было 12 человек.
There were 12 people at that point in the bunker.
Они были закрыты в бункере,
They were closed in the bunker.
и немецкие пионеры, это, да, они так и называются, это знаете.
And the German pioneers
Вот, штурмовали бункер, и на дверях есть следы подрыва как минимум 2 устройств.
and the German pioneers tried to attack the bunker and tried to blow it up. There are signs of it in front by the entrance.
And the flower reef is 1952.
А вот это? Что это?
Это,
1952?
нет, это быстро, да. Традиция, как говорится, на местах боев и так далее, возлагать какие-то. Да, а этот до 2011 года этот бункер вообще-то был засыпан полностью землей.
This bunker was covered with soil by the какого года?
11-го.
By 2011.
Вот. Потом он был любителями историями, в том числе
Then
и
the
мной,
historians
Эндрю,
came here,
был раскопан и создан музей.
they dug it out and made a museum out of it.
Но сейчас это используется как укрытие во время ракетных обстрелов.
Now it is used as a shelter during
После-
missile attacks.
После прекращения обстрела он будет опять существовать как музей.
Once the missile attacks stop, it will again be a museum. So this is what the German pioneers did. They took bags, resents, about 10 kilograms,
Продвигаясь вдоль стены
while they were walking around the bunker.
с помощью
Because, wall.
огнемета fire этот,
Fire gun?
Да-да-да.
They used the fire gun.
или пулемета заставляли, чтобы там закрылись в
They made
середине.
them close to windows.
Вот. Потом укладывали эти мешочки,
They put these
один,
bags with sands.
все, он уже не воевал. Залазили наверх,
They went on top,
в трубу заливали бензин,
put fuel inside the pipe,
плюс подрывали гранаты,
put
и
grenades in.
гарнизону, солдатам нечем было внутри дышать,
Soldiers had nothing to breathe.
и они сдавались
They
или
fell
умирали.
or died.
I always found the constructions leading up to the Second World War fascinating. The various countries constructed in different ways, yet with many similarities, and innovations developed already during World War I. And in the East, very little is known or seen about these, so I'm trying to document the Stalin and Molotov lines of bunkers, as well as those opposing them in Poland, where both Germans and Poles constructed some really solid bunkers before the war. I visited many of these and will show you these in future episodes and go over how some of them fought and were destroyed when it's known. So stay tuned.
Behind me is Vanna von Braun's first test stand. Down the road is Diebner's nuclear reactor. Over there is the Maginot Line and all its amazing forts. I'm visiting them all and I'm bringing them to you. So I really appreciate you like, follow, and share what I'm doing, trying to document all these important historical locations. And if you feel like you want to watch more pictures or documents that I use for these, go to lostbattlefields.com. And if you feel like helping me out with my travels, because gasoline and travel and airfare is expensive, my PayPal is there, protectionserviceint.com. You are more than welcome, but you don't have to. I appreciate all your support and all your help, and I love seeing these locations, and I love bringing them to you.